In today's video, we're going to create this circular text animation in Figma. Okay, let's get started. What we're going to do first is, of course, insert a frame. So I'm going to click on F, go to desktop, and I'm going to click desktop and add a desktop frame. Next, let's change the height to 810. We're going to change the background color. Once again, we'll go through these one by one, so you don't need to know, or they'll be in the description below. So I'm going to copy the background color, select our frame, and change the fill to this background color. Next, let's add a layout guide. I'm going to select that. Let's change the layout guide to columns. Make the number of columns 12. Increase the opacity to 15%, and the margin make it 120. And we'll close this. Let's move on to create our logo. So I'm just going to grab a copy of this, and I'm going to bring in the logo. I'm going to go back to my style guide. I'm going to copy the color for text, and I'm going to select the logo text, and I'll change the fill to our logo color. Let me just type in the text, and the text or the name of our business is Nexera. So the font is Goldman, weight is regular, size is 32, line height is 40. Once again, all this will be in the description below. Let's move on to create the other part of our header. So the header text, the typography, the font is DM Sans, weight is regular, size is 16, the line height is 24. So I'm just going to bring in a copy here like this. Once again, let me copy the text color so I can change it to that. I'm just going to change our text color. Let's make this an auto layout. I'm going to change the top, the left and right padding to 25, and the top and bottom padding is going to be 5. Let's make the corner radius 20 like that. And we have this. I'm just going to change the text of this to button since we're going to reuse this. So I'm just going to rename this frame button 1, and let's make it a component. So I'm just going to go over here, make it a component. Now I'm going to add a variant. This variant is going to have a fill. So let me go back to my style guide, copy the code for our green color, go back to our frame, select the second variant, and I'm going to add a fill, change the fill color to that green button, that green color, and I'm going to change the text color to our background color. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy the background color, go back to our text, change the fill to our background color. Let's add one more variant of the button. Click on that. Let's add the second variant, and I'm going to go back to my style guide, and we have this one that says button pressed, and I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to select the third variant, change this green color to this darker shade of that green, and we have our three states. So go to the prototype tab, select the defaults, and then connect it to the variant. So variant 2, I'm going to select this, and I'm going to make it while hovering. So currently the animation is set to smart animate. The curve is in and out, duration is 300 milliseconds. That's fine, and that's what we're going to go for this button. For the second one, we're going to connect it to the third variant, make this one while pressing, and again the settings all remain the same. I'm going to, first of all, let me go back to design, create a copy of this button, and then we can move this out of our frame. We don't need it anymore. I'm just going to bring this here, and I'm just going to create, um, we need a total of 5 buttons for this header section, and I'm just going to change that. Now this first button is going to be home, second button is going to be solutions, third button is going to be labs, fourth button is going to be insights, and our final button is going to be contacts. So now that we have all our buttons, I'm going to select all of them, make it an auto layout. It's currently set to center. Let's make the gap 5. And I will just move this in like this. Select our logo. Once again, auto layout. Now it's set to center and the spacing is auto. That's fine. So just to make sure that our header is on the edge of our layouts, and I'm going to move this header because I want it to be 50 from the space between the top of our frame and our header should be 50. So I'm just going to move this around till we have 50. So let's take a moment to look at it in our prototype view if it's going to load, and it's going to take a bit of time, but no worries. Let me change this to, let me make it fit width for now. So this is what we have, our buttons, and yeah, our header is fine, and currently this is what we have. Now we can move on to creating, I believe, the font parts, which is those going to be those circles. Let's start with our first circle. So I'm just going to click on ellipse and I'm going to insert an ellipse. Let's change the dimensions to 600 by 600. Next, let me just move this in like this. Next, let's change the color of this circle. So for circle 1, we have this color. I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to come back to this circle and I'm going to change the fill to this. While this circle is still selected, Control D to duplicate, and now we have 2 copies. Let me move ellipse 1 to the top, and this one that is titled ellipse 2 that is at the bottom, we're going to change it to glue ellipse, or let's make it ellipse 1 glue so that we know which one we're referencing, but we'll group them together so you still not get confused. And we're just going to have ellipse 1 glue, and that's it for now. Let's go to draw mode and let's insert an ellipse. I'm just going to hold shift and insert another ellipse, and we'll change the dimensions to 463 to 400 by 463, and I'm going to move this so I centered on these other 2 circles. Come to text, and when you are hovering over your circle, you'll see that it has this curved shape that, I don't know how to explain it, but you see that angle there. Click, and now we can now start texting on a path. So the first text is going to be, turn on caps lock, connect. Let me see. Okay, it's connect. Escape, and what we're going to do is change the text. So the first text is going to be this text. The attributes is, the text name is outfit, that's typography. The font name is outfit, weight is black, size is 70, the line height is going to be auto. So come to this text, change it to outfit. Let's change the weight to black and the size to 70, and I'm just going to come back like this. So you see this handle here, this blue dots, this white dots here, this is what we use to move the text. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move this text till it's about here like this, and we have connect just to the left side of our text. And now let's go back to our design mode, and I'm just going to click on design and we'll back here, select the text, and I'm going to go to effects and I'm going to add an effect. We're going to make it layer blur, and we're going to make this 10 like that, and we have this text, and we're done with this first one. What I'm going to do is just select all 3 of them, that is the text, the ellipse one and the ellipse one glue, we're just going to group it, and we're done with the first set of circles. For the second one, we're going to do exactly what we just did, but we're just going to make things smaller. So start with a circle, click, and we have a circle. Just make sure that it's on the frame, not inside the group. We're going to change the dimensions of the second circle to 450 by 450, and I'm just going to bring it till it's centered. If it's not, no worries, we'll still center everything later on. You know what, let me just leave it there. And I'm going to have this, go to the color for our second circle, and I'm just going to copy this code, come back to our second circle, and change the fill to this. What we're going to do once again is duplicate, Control D to duplicate. Let me move this, let me bring ellipse 2 to the top, and we're going to rename this one ellipse 2 glue, and we're going to leave that. Once again, let's go to draw mode, and I'm going to insert a circle, and I'm holding shift, and I'll just insert this circle here. And we're going to change the dimensions of this circle to 318 by 318. So like that's 318 by 318, and I'm going to center it to this second set of circles. So we have it centered to this. And what I'm going to do next is, what we did before. So I'm going to click on text, and once again start typing, and this second text is going to be a line, and that's what we have. Escape to close down mode, and what we're going to do once again is change the fonts is outfit, weight is black, size is 70, and the line height will always be set to auto. For align, let's move this to this side like this, so it's going to be on the right like this. Let's go back to design mode, and I'm going to go to effects. Let's add an effect, layer blur, and make the blur 10 like that. And I'm going to select the text and the two ellipses, and I'm going to group them. Just to make sure, I'm going to click enter, so I'm selecting everything, Alt H, Alt V. So I'm aligning them horizontally and vertically. If you want to use the actual keys, this is the align vertical centers, align H is Alt H and Alt V. That's what I tend to use, Alt H, Alt V, just to make sure. We can even do the same for this one. Enter to select everything, Alt V, Alt H, just to make sure. And I'm going to click outside of this. So we can select this, and now let's just select this to Alt V, Alt H. We're still going to do, we still have two more circles to go, and then we'll just align everything all at once. For our third circle, we're going to do exactly what we did with the first two. So first, ellipse, insert, and we have an ellipse here. We're going to change the dimensions to 300 by 300, and I'm going to move this here. Next, we're going to change the fill color. So the fill is going to be this color. Select the circle or ellipse, change the color to that. Once again, Control D, duplicate ellipse 3, move this one to the top, and we're going to rename the one at the bottom ellipse 3 glue, and we have this. Once again, let's go to draw mode. So I'm just going to select this, insert a circle first, and I'm just going to insert this ellipse here, and I'm going to change the dimensions to 174 by 174, and we have this. Next, select text and click on this, and we're going to type focus this time, and this is what we have. Let's change the font or typography, change this to outfits. The weight is going to be black and the size is going to be 70. Once again, grab this handle and we'll move focus to, like, we'll just move focus, like, let me see, that looks fine, and we'll have that there. Let's go back to our design mode once more, and we'll just go to effects, add effects, make it a layer blur, and make the blur 10, and this is what we have. Now I'm going to select these three ellipses, both the text and the other ellipse, and I'm going to, let me Alt V, Alt H just to make sure, and it actually moved, and that's why you just checked Alt V, Alt H to align them properly, and I'm going to group them. Now we're going to create our final circle. Insert a circle just like we did before, and we're going to change the dimensions to 150 by 150. If this gets too confusing to build the circles on one after the other on top each other, you can do it outside the frame or on a separate frame. So I'm just going to change this time. This final circle is going to be our background color. So I'm going to copy our background color, and I'm going to select this smallest ellipse, and I'm going to add that there. Once again, Control D to duplicate, move this 4 to the top, and make this one ellipse 4 flow, and that's what we have. Now we're going to create another button. So let's just let me go to our text. So we have this, it says header slash button, so I'm just going to grab a copy of this like that. Next, I'm going to um, change the text color for this, and I'm going to change the fill of this particular color to this. I'm just going to write the text because we're only going to use it here. So this is going to be launch now, and we're going to make this an auto layout first just to make sure, and the top and bottom padding is going to stay as 10, but the corner radius we're going to make 20, and I'm going to make this a component. So I'll just use Control Alt key and I'll make that a component. Add the second variant. So the second variant is going to have a fill similar to what we have in the header section. I'm going to copy all of this and come to this second button, this variant. Let's add the fill color, and we'll change the fill to um, green color, and we're going to change the text to the background color, and oops, select this text, change the fill to the background color, and finally we're going to add the third one so that it will have a darker fill. So we'll just go to this button pressed color and select this button, and we'll change the fill to this. Go to prototype, let's connect all three buttons, and this is going to be, while hovering, we're going to have this, and it's going to change to variant 2. Animation is going to be smart animate. The curve is going to be ease in and out. 300 is fine as the duration. Same thing for this one. This is going to be while pressing, and smart animate, everything remains the same. Let me just move this out of frame, and I'm just going to grab a copy. Oops. Just grab a copy of the default. Let me go back to design, and I'm going to bring this in, and we have this button. So let's go back to our selection. So frame 3, which is, let's rename this launch. So I'm just going to exit. Select the launch button. Select ellipse 4 and ellipse glue. Select everything. Alt V, Alt H to make sure they are all aligned. And then Control G to group. And now we have group 1. We're going to rename group 1 connect, so we'll know what um, ellipse or what group we're referencing. Second one is going to be align. Third one is going to be focus, and the final group is going to be launch. And this is what we have. Now I'm going to select all four of them. Alt V, Alt H, or you could use the buttons here. And finally, just to keep things neat and tidy, we're going to group it. And this is what we have. Now we're going to go ahead and then do some effects on this. Alright, before we create our effect on our components, we're just going to change the text color. So I'm just going to select this entire group, and one of the buttons, which was launch, has our text color. So I just copy the code, and where it's pure white, I'm going to change it back to our text color. So let's zoom out, and I'm going to select this group, and I'm going to create a copy and bring it in. If you want to modify the original, you can, but I tend to create a duplicate first, create the component, then replace it. And I'm just going to ungroup this, and I'm going to, let's move launch to this side, move focus here, and align here. I'm going to insert a rectangle. I don't want to use a frame so that it won't, when we're looking at the prototype, we won't see it. So I'm just going to bring this, and I'm going to send this to the back. Let's change the color to something white so you can see what I'm doing. Now what we're going to do is select this, Control Alt key, make it a component, Control Alt key. You can use the buttons, but I'm just making each one of these groups a component. Create a variant for this one, and what we're going to do is, for this variant, open variant 2 for connect. Go to ellipse glue and go to the fill, and let me select this should be, let me make sure, I just want to make sure I have the right color, 3FE0C5, and that's the um, color for this. Change the color for ellipse glue, ellipse 1 glue, the circle that is named glue. Change it to our green color, and go to effects. Click on effects, change this to layer blur, and make the blur 50. And this is what we have. It's not really that clear because it's on a white background, but when we put it on a design, it's going to pop out more. Second detail we're going to change, select this connect text. Go to, just grab this handle and rotate it like this. Just the text till the text is pretty much, I won't say, try your best to bring it to the top. Don't move this handle that moves the text. It's not going, the effect is not going to work properly the way we want it. Rotate, change the rotation of the entire circle. And finally, select the text once more and remove the layer blur. Remove the effects, and now the text is going to be clear. And this is what we have for connect. Now we're going to do the same for the other two, but before we do that, I'm going to select this, select ellipse 1 glue, Control Alt C. I've copied the properties because I want to use the same effect in the other circles instead of redoing it. Once again, Control Alt C, and you copy the properties, or you could right click and I believe it's copy slash paste, and then you just copy properties, Control Alt C, and come to the second one, Do the same, add a variant. I'm going to, let me close this, open variant 2, select the glue, Control Alt V, and now we have the same fill color, the same layer blur. And just like we did for the other one, come to align. Once again, rotate the entire circle till align is to the best of your ability or as best as you can at the top, and go to effects, remove the layer blur. Do the same for focus. Let's add let's add a variant. Open this, select ellipse tree glue, Control Alt V to paste properties. Select the text. Once again, let me get closer. Rotate the circle so that it's at the top, and then remove the effect. Finally, for launch, add a variant. Once again, open it, select ellipse 4 glow, Control Alt V, and we have the same glow effect. And what we're going to do now is go to our prototype. Select this. Let's go to prototype, and I'm just going to connect these two. And we're going to make this, the trigger is going to be while hovering, smart animate ease in and out. Duration is going to be 900 milliseconds. And yeah, I'm going to go to the next one, bring this in while hovering, and it's going to be 900 milliseconds as well. Focus is going to be the same, bring that in, it's going to be while hovering, and it's going to be 900 milliseconds. And finally, we're going to do the same for launch now, and it's going to be while hovering 900 milliseconds. And yeah, we have this prototype. So we're going to go back to our design tab. Now we can go to our assets. Let's go to created in this file so that I can only check these ones. So we have these ones, and what I'm going to do is, first of all, we are going to connect is the first one, and we have connect. I'm going to bring connect. Next is align. Third is focus, and the final one is launch now. So we have our 4 components. So Control X, let me go back to my file, select this group, and I'm going to open this group, connect, Control Shift R, and I've pasted and replaced it with our component. Once again, I'm going to cut align, select this group, and select align, Control Shift R to paste and replace. Cut focus, select the group, let's select focus and Control Shift R to paste and replace. Finally, cut launch, and then go back to our group, Control Shift R. Now before we check the final outcome, let's add our other text here. So what I'm going to do is come here, and we have this heading text. I'm just going to go ahead and add this, and let me copy the code for our text color, and I'm going to change the text color to this for now. Now let's go back to our text. I'm going to copy the text, recalibrate your digital flow, and I'm going to Control Shift V to paste while maintaining the same attributes of the paste location. And I'm going to, let me move this in like this, and I'm just going to, the width is currently 516. I'm not really too bothered about that, but yeah, that's what we have. And we're going to do, maybe just add a bit of color, because at a glance it's just going to be all gray and black and white. So let's add a bit of color to our design. So I'm going to copy the code for this text color, and I'm going to select recalibrate. You can do this separately if you want to, maybe create a separate text box, but I want to keep things simple. So recalibrate is going to be our green color. Next, we're going to um, body text. Oh, I didn't. Okay, sorry. The heading text is is it Orbitron. The weight is regular, size is 54, the line height is 60. For what I've labeled the body text, DM Sans is the font, weight is regular, size is 20, the line height is 28. And I'm just going to once again bring this in, and I'm going to change this to a text color and copy my body text and Control Shift and V. Going to reduce the size of this, and I'm going to align it to this one. Select both of them, Shift A to create an auto layout. Let's change the height, the gap between them to 25. Let me just make sure, because yeah, something I'm going to change this um, to, and then I'm going to change this to the height. I'm going to change it to hog content, and we have this. And I'm going to select this. I'm just aligning the edge of this to the outside of like the edge of our frame on the right. Select the header, select this, and change the spacing to 200, and the spacing between the header and our circles is going to be 60. Now let's zoom out and let's take a look at it in the prototype view. Okay, so I currently have my prototype loaded, and when we hover over connect, align, focus, and launch, and if you click on the button, you have this, and this is the effect I was going for. So yeah, that's it. If you feel like things are moving too quickly, or it's too slow, or you want to change the colors, or you want to change anything, you can go ahead and change it. But yeah, that's it for the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.